Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast, co-starring 10-year NFL veteran and Super Bowl champion, Will Blackman.
Manning from the end zone. He throws, and a deflect away, and it is picked off by Will Blackman, the former Giant.
Tim Dwight watches it hit, bounces, picks it up at the 10, slips a defender, fumbles the football. It's up for grabs. It's covered in the end zone by Will Blackman for a Green Bay touchdown.
And now, here is your host,
Let's send it over to Ric Bucher.
Ric Bucher.
Welcome to a free agent edition of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast network. I'm Ric Bucher. You can see me on FS1, read me on Bleacher Report, and follow me on Twitter at Ric Bucher. He is Will Blackman, NFL vet, Super Bowl champ. You can find him on Twitter at Will Blackman, BLACKMON. Will, so we got to the starting gate, and we didn't have to wait very long. In fact, even before it officially began, I got word that KD was going to the Brooklyn Nets.
Where's Brooklyn at? Where's Brooklyn at?
So, as a fellow professional athlete, how do you look at the decision that Kevin Durant made, leaving the Warriors, leaving a championship caliber team, and going to New York, but not going to the Knicks, going to the Brooklyn Nets, what many people consider the JV team in that area? And I know, they were the team that went to the playoffs. The Knicks were not. Knicks had the worst record in the league at 17 games. Nonetheless, what as a professional athlete, not just as a media person now, but as a professional athlete, how do you view the decision that Kevin Durant made?
I think this decision was made before the season even started.
Why do you say that?
I just feel like, he was like, okay, I'm going to go for this third one. Mm-hmm. And win or lose, I'm going to go elsewhere.
Yes, no doubt. No doubt. When he signed the 1-1, when he signed his last deal, it was with the idea that I'm taking another run and then I'm going to go explore other options. I just mean specifically the Brooklyn Nets, because I don't know if I shared with you. I mean, somebody was telling me about like the fan base, the business opportunities. The difference between the Nets and the Knicks is a mile wide. The Nets were the playoff team, winning record. They were last in the league in attendance. They were behind the Phoenix Suns. They were behind the Memphis Grizzlies.
Not anymore.
Well, we shall see.
What you mean we shall see? It's going down. Come on, man.
KD's not going to be there for a year.
He's not going to be there, but Kyrie's going to fill the seats. Him and DeAndre, it's going to be what they call Lob City Part 2.
Yeah, well, DeAndre doesn't fill me full of excitement. I think you have to be able to space the floor. He's a great defensive center, but as we saw with Clint Capella, like if you don't have a jump shot in today's game, there are going to be issues. And Kyrie leading a young team, I just saw this in Boston. This is what gets me about everybody killing the Knicks. Oh, the Knicks didn't get anybody. Oh, they didn't get Kyrie and KD. And by the way, if you've heard that the Knicks offered KD less than the max because Jim Dolan was uncertain about the medicals and whether he's going to be the same on the other side.
Right.
Not true.
That.
Not true. I know it's been reported.
How do you know?
I've been told by the Knicks it's not true.
Okay.
So here's the thing.
Who on the Knicks?
Come on, man. I got sources. Come on. Here's the thing. This is what bothers me about how everybody plays the Knicks game. If the Knicks, and I was on a radio show in New York, and the co-host, one of the co-hosts, was screaming at me that they were going to invest a max contract in Kevin Durant. Like, what are they doing? He's damaged goods. And what, they're going to sign Kyrie? Kyrie was a pain in the ass in Boston. It was like they're killing him for what they were going to do. So now they don't do it. And now it's, the Knicks didn't get anybody. Now, I can tell you that the Knicks genuinely were concerned about having Kyrie lead their team, their young team, for a year while waiting on KD. What they really wanted to do was they wanted to pair Kawhi with KD. Kawhi was willing to meet with them, but he wasn't going to meet with them till later in the week. And they had no assurances that Kawhi was going to come. They were still going to have to convince him to come. So they looked at it and went, well, if we wait until the 3rd and we don't get Kawhi and we don't get KD, we're not going to get anybody that we want. Like anybody that we want. So they made the executive decision. We got to move in another direction. We got to pivot. And we're a 17-win team. We're not going to invest in anybody deep. Because look, here's the other part. Like, the Nets won the press conference, and the Knicks could have done something else crazy. They could have signed Kemba Walker to a max deal. They could have signed Tobias Harris to a max deal. They could have signed Jimmy Butler to a max deal. Are any of those guys like? I guarantee you, in the same way when the TV money kicked in a couple years ago and everybody went nuts and just spent whatever they had, there were a lot of bad contracts as a result. Tyler Johnson got $50 million. Even Tyler Johnson was saying, I'm not a $50 million guy, but I'll take it. Otto Porter got $120-some million, and people are going, "Oh, that's crazy! That's crazy! It's crazy money." Yeah, and Washington had to move him. So I don't have look. The Knicks still have to build a team. They still have to prove that they're capable of building a team. But I'm not going to kill them today because they decided they didn't want to hang their team on Kyrie for a year. And they couldn't get KD without Kyrie or Kawhi. And they said, well, those are really the only guys that we were willing to invest a max contract in. I don't have a problem with that. Do you?
I was curious about the whole thing. I'm still curious about it. However, I think what's being overshadowed.
What do you mean? I didn't sate your curiosity? What could I possibly have said?
No, you didn't. I think what's being overlooked too with the Knicks is that it looks like they are for sure comfortable in putting their future in RJ Barrett. Like this is our guy, you know. So we're gonna try to build what we can now. Try to get some guys. You know, they got a my friend called Randall Zion without hops.
Julius Randle has a great reputation around the league.
He does, absolutely. So yeah, I mean,
as does Taj Gibson. Now. Taj Gibson's a little over. You know, I mean, he's on the back nine clearly, but those are tough, hardworking guys. I can see exactly what Scott Perry is doing. He's bringing that Detroit mentality to the New York Knicks.
Right.
And I, for one, quality veterans like that, putting them around RJ Barrett, putting them around Kevin Knox, putting them around Mitchell Robinson. If you're quietly, I feel like Mitchell Robinson is in the incubator. He's the guy that they want to develop. Well, what better way to do that than to bring guys like Julius Randle in and Taj Gibson to practice against his ass every single day? You're going to maximize who Mitchell Robinson can be. And look, I understand there's probably some of you out there that's like, I'm wearing orange and blue glasses right now in trying to defend the Knicks. Look, the Knicks still have a lot to prove. I am so slow in. I just find it laughable that people are killing them because the Nets won the press conference. The reality is they're not going to have Kevin Durant for a year. They're going to be paying him $40 million. They're not going to have him for a year. You don't know what he's going to be when he gets back. I think he's still going to be a very good player, a top 10 player. But you don't know. Kyrie also injury prone. Kyrie also leading my team. I'd be scared of that too. I would do what the Nets did. I would roll the dice on that, but I am not going to find fault with anybody who decides, nah, it's not worth the bet.
Here's the whole thing too with this leadership thing with Kyrie. I remember Terry Rozier was on Get Up on ESPN, and he mentioned how everybody wanted to be the man.
Yeah.
On that team, so it's so hard to lead when everybody on that team is like, I want mine, I'm trying to get mine, and therefore you see free agency. Al Horford's gone. Terry Rozier went and got his. Mm-hmm. So Kyrie, he knew he was going to be out of there. He knew that early in the year. He said, I'm out of here.
Right.
I'm gonna answer nobody until July 1st.
Well, I'm still convinced that the turning point wasn't just the young guys. It was that Danny didn't back up Kyrie with the young guys. That Danny Ainge found fault with Kyrie. Kyrie's like, wait a minute. I'm the vet here. I'm the proven guy here. You're going to side with Terry Rozier and Jaylen Brown? Like, I think that's what
Terry left.
I think that's what Kyrie got. That's where Kyrie got sideways.
I feel like he, after doing what he just did in Cleveland, he felt just like one of the guys. He didn't feel like it was his team. I think it was like,
well, Brad Stevens didn't help him with that.
That's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. Like, the style is like, hey, we're a team, which is why I feel like that's why Jimmy Butler went to Miami. Jimmy wanted his own team.
Well, and it's also the guys that were purported to be stars and were being given that mantle. I see the parallel you're drawing, and I think there is some truth to that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That wasn't patronizing. That was genuine. You're so ridiculous. So, no, the parallel is that both are veteran, accomplished guys, and they're seeing young guys being given the mantle of stars and maybe the treatment of stars and going, nah, that ain't right. That's not right. So I think the thing with, I wouldn't put Horford's departure on that. Maybe, I'm not going to put Horford's departure on that. I think he was offered and he goes to the Sixers?
But he was offered 3 years. I think he was offered 3 years and less per year by the Celtics. And they didn't think there was somebody else who's going to jump out there and give him 4 years. At his age, getting 4 years. Look, Al Horford loved being in Atlanta. When Boston came with the money they came with, he was like, I'm out of here. Heartbeat. Al quietly is looking at the bottom line. So Philly coming with that kind of money, and I'm sure to a certain extent, like all of the turmoil in Boston was a factor because Al's not that kind of guy. But I think the real driving force there was the money. All right, we have to get to this because this is probably the latest news that's come down. Warriors. Indeed, the Warriors losing Kevin Durant, but doing a sign and trade. So they will get a trade exception of some $30 million, but they won't be able to use it until January, if I understanding the timing correctly, because they can't officially do the sign and trade until then. So it's not as if they're going to have $30 million to spend right now. So they made another move, and this move, man, I find this so, what a soap opera. First of all, the big move is not signing D'Angelo Russell, which they did in a sign and trade. He's getting $117 million over 4 years. It's that Andre Iguodala, he of the bashing of the medical staff, and then walking back.
That book tour, man. They say, hey, man, you got a radio interview in Memphis. That book.
He just got sent down the river. Now, they do get a 2024 protected first-round pick, but and it works out down the line, becomes unprotected in 2026, which on one hand I get, but man, they sent him to the outpost. They sent him to the gulag. They basically said, thank you for walking it back, and now we're going to ship your ass out, and you're going to spend your last year in misery. Thank you.
Making over $14 million, but it's all good.
Yeah, well, but Andre in Memphis, ooh.
Listen, you know what he's going to do? He's going to make his guaranteed money.
Yeah.
And he's going to school up Ja Morant. That's what he's going to do. Okay? He's going to leave. He's going to leave a lasting impression on that young man.
Yes.
And then ride into the sunset this time next year.
I'm sure that he will. I'm sure that Andre will make the best of it. I am like, the fact that the Warriors are so ticked off that he said what he said about the medical staff. That is cold-blooded. Sending him to Memphis. It's cold-blooded. All right, so they get D'Angelo Russell, and I don't like this deal either. I really don't.
Why more no defense?
Yeah, more no defense. He's a me guy. He's not a high basketball IQ guy. And that's what the Warriors really are all about. If Draymond doesn't kill him, Steve Kerr will. One of the two. He's a younger Nick Young is what he is. It's what he is. He's a younger Nick Young.
He's better than Nick Young, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could argue, certainly at this stage, he's better than Nick Young. But I'm telling you, this is what happens. One, D'Angelo was desperate for a spot, and the Warriors were desperate. And this is what happens when you have two desperate partners who see something in each other, and they decide, hey, you're the best thing I got going. Let's try to make it happen. But you generally don't have
look at this as desperate on both sides?
Yes.
As if D'Lo didn't have any other suitors?
At this point, nothing.
Usually when a team makes a decision that early is because they do have other suitors.
Well, look, the Warriors needed to make something happen, for sure. So no doubt they were aggressive in this. And for D'Lo, among his options, I mean, okay, look, if you consider Minnesota a landing place, okay. But the Lakers right now are confident, I mean, amazingly confident that they're going to wind up with Kawhi Leonard, which ends the D'Lo, and I can tell you, and I promised myself after the last podcast I wasn't going to call him D'Lo anymore. D'Angelo is high on the Lakers list, but if he's looking at it, and he's looking at it wisely, he's thinking, that's a bad bet for me. If they think they're going to get Kawhi, I'm going to have to wait until Kawhi makes his decision. And if Kawhi doesn't make his decision until the 3rd or the 4th, which is very well when he's going to make it, all the money might have been dried up by that point. So, and I think D'Angelo, I don't know that D'Angelo was going to get more than he got here. And this is 4 years, 117 for D'Angelo Russell. I know he was an all-star, but I'm not, again. And it's not so much I'm down on D'Angelo, it's more the fit. He doesn't have the Warriors' DNA. The way they play. He'll give them some scoring while Clay is out, no doubt, for sure. But I don't like it for a lot of other reasons.
I know. I got a bet, another hair dye bet that I might have to honor.
What's that? Wait a minute. Didn't you?
I know.
Did we
did. We did have one. We did have one. Yeah, we did.
And what was it?
We did.
What was it?
I don't remember.
I'm going to have Livy look it up. I'm going to have our producer go back and find it. You remember. What was it? Tell me. What was it? Fess up. Come on.
I said if the Pats miss the playoffs or if 2 NFC East teams make the playoffs, and 2 NFC East teams did make it, I believe.
No, that wasn't our bet.
Yeah.
I thought we had a bet. I thought we had a bet on KD.
That was ours. No, we didn't have no KD bet. No. I bet somebody that Kawhi is not going to LA.
At all.
Not the Lakers.
Ooh, when did you make that bet?
The 16th.
16th of June?
Mm-hmm.
That was a good bet then. I'd be a little nervous right now. Although I will say this, the whole KD Kyrie thing, I've said this when I would do, I don't have to do NBA mock drafts anymore, or I don't do NBA mock drafts anymore. But when I did, the one that I would do immediately after the lottery selection was generally my most accurate one. And what happens is, as you get closer, you have to do at least one or two more, and you hear all the rumors and you hear all this stuff going on, and you begin to try to weave that into who you think is going where, and it ends up being far more smoke than reality.
So Chris Haynes from Yahoo Sports said that Iggy was informed last week by the Warriors that he could be traded to unload salary in an event that KD moved on. So This wasn't a shock. And Iggy did put a subliminal tweet out there, a cryptic tweet, saying, I need that Magic meme.
What does that mean?
The Magic Johnson meme where he said, I'm not going to be here. So he just sent out a tweet saying, I need that Magic meme.
Well, no. I get moving him. I understand that part.
But to Memphis, you're saying?
To Memphis is what I'm saying. I
wanted him far away.
He's still in the West. He's far away. He's still in the Western Conference.
Say Memphis won't move him.
They would have to do that. I have to refresh myself on the trade things. I think that they would have to do that simultaneously. Now they have to wait at least 3 months. No, he makes sense for Memphis for the reasons that you said. Jaren Jackson, John Morant, Iggy is a great mentor.
Iggy gets bought out and ends up being a Laker.
Ooh.
Yeah, buddy.
Iggy, I think Iggy would like that. Here's the bottom line. They might have told him that something was going to go down. That doesn't make it being sent to the Memphis Grizzlies any less difficult to swallow. Let's be clear on that. And I'm not hating on the Grizzlies per se, but it's not a good market. Most guys don't stay there, want to be there. It's one of the last outposts. And they're not going to be very good at all next year. At all. So, his last year, that's how he's going to spend it. Okay.
Wow, dude.
What? All right, so
sip my wine here.
What are you expecting from the Warriors next year? Now that KD's gone,
a lot of 100-point games.
Yeah,
right now.
Maybe on the wrong side of them, though.
Maybe on the wrong side. Maybe a couple of 130, 125 games, something like that. I don't know. Something else needs to happen. They need a big body.
It can't.
They're like full, right? Huh?
Yeah, and if there's what I've heard,
Looney needs to lift weights.
Boston may be coming after Kevon Looney. Somebody's going to throw out the mid-level exception to Kevon, and that's going to be hard for him to turn down. That's like $8-9 million.
Yeah.
If somebody does that and they strip him of Kevon, people they are preying on the carcass now.
They're gonna be Looney.
Yeah. Of the Golden State Warriors, they are preying on that carcass right now.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Talking about we ain't done yet. That's what Draymond said, right? We ain't done yet. All right.
Yeah, well, you are for this year. There might be a comeback somewhere here, but
I don't know what Damian Jones or Alonzo McKinney.
Yeah. Those guys aren't enough to shift the meter, move the needle, as they like to say. The Miami Heat also added, they did the sign and trade. Oh, this is what I need to ask you. So Al Horford goes to Philadelphia. They do a sign and trade, sending Jimmy Butler to Miami. They sign Tobias Harris to a max contract. They lose J.J. Redick to the Pelicans, and that might have been the biggest surprise for me.
That was great for the Pelicans.
Oh my goodness, it's great. And I got to think that at 2 years, $26 million, it was probably a case, again, a little bit like Al Horford, where that was money that J.J. Redick wasn't going to get someplace else. But I will say this.
I don't know if he was, but I just think he looked at the situation too and liked it.
Yeah, but he had, like I'm telling you, he lived in Brooklyn. He commuted to the Sixers practices. They let him live in New York with his family.
So he wanted that Brooklyn deal, and then you're saying it didn't work out?
Well, I'm saying that I'm actually surprised he left Philly. I thought he liked the setup that he had. And I know that there was a mutual appreciation on both sides. I'm really surprised. It had to be either Philly just decided they needed to change it up. But I don't, and probably looking at it that they have to move Jimmy, and they got Josh Richardson back, and the feeling like, okay, we can let JJ go. We don't have to break the bank to keep JJ, because we're going to break the bank to get Al Horford. I don't know that it makes them better or solves their problem as who's their go-to guy.
On the Sixers?
Yes.
Because Ben's going to play the point, right?
Yeah.
And then
Josh Richardson at the 2.
Right. Al at the 4. Tobias at the 3.
Tobias
right?
at the 3.
And Embiid. Who's shooting the ball?
Who's your go-to guy?
Right.
I mean, Tobias is a nice catch and shoot guy. He doesn't necessarily create his own shot.
I don't think he's gonna wear a team out all game long.
No. I like Embiid. I like Embiid as a go-to guy, but as a big, he can't bring the ball up the court. You have to get the ball to him, and that can be challenging in a 8 seconds or less situation. You can make the game difficult. So I get what they did.
They got a great Drew League team.
They spent a ton of money. They're a more expensive team, but I don't know that they're necessarily that much better.
They spent a ton of money.
And while Al Horford can space the floor the same way Joel Embiid can, it's still you're forcing Embiid and Al Horford to play away from the basket unless Ben Simmons comes back with a jump shot.
Right, they're going to have to move around a lot.
Yeah.
They got a lot of boards, though.
Which at Al's...
They're going to need to.
Which at Al's age...
Listen, they're going to have to get a lot of rebounds this year, and they're going to. They're going to need it.
Well, there are going to be a lot of offensive rebounds. I don't know if they're going to get them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
What about... how you feel about the Jimmy Butler, Dion Waiters chemistry? What do you think about that?
No, I'm not feeling that. Not feeling that. Again, I think that was a match made by mutual admiration and you're my last option. Jimmy Butler, when he came out with his original list of 4.
I'm sure D Wade had a lot of influence in that whole deal.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Like passing the torch type of situation.
No doubt. But, again, I don't know. Josh Richardson took a big step forward last year. And Jimmy Butler and Justin Winslow as a backcourt, I like that. I like that from a defensive standpoint. They're not blowing me away with their three-point range. Their ability to space. I mean, Jimmy's shooting the 3 better. Winslow's shooting the 3 better, but neither one of them, I don't trust either one of them to hit threes consistently. This is again, and I'll go back and we'll wrap on this because, the New York Knicks taking all the shots that they are. There are a lot of teams out there that made moves and spent money, big money, and everybody's like, look what they did. I don't know that they did anything wisely. The 76ers? I don't know. It sounds good.
It sounds good. Yeah, it looks cool. It looks cool on paper, but let's get to the facts, man. Like, who's the go-to guy? Who's gonna be on that team to take it to Brooklyn?
You're gonna look really good in the next couple of days when you trot these guys out and you have them stand up holding their uniform and you do all that stuff. They're New Jersey, but what's it gonna look like next season? It's gonna get you any closer to the prize. And again,
it's gonna look like 1975 big man ball.
And Philly, what's interesting, I do find that teams have recognized there's been a shift here. Teams are loading up on how they can play defensively. People are taking a page. I mean, the Raptors only just won it, but you could also say that the Warriors proved it. But that, this idea that we're just going to score our way to a championship, people seem to be shifting a little bit because the 76ers, in what they've built, is a pretty good defensive team. That's a pretty damn good defensive team. And maybe they're looking at the way the finals went and saying, hey.
Right, exactly.
We'll find a way to get enough points, but we're going to focus on having the best team at the other end of the floor.
That's a really good call because you did look at how Toronto just put bodies on all these shooters and wore them out over the course of a 7-game series,
And then how did they score? They scored inside.
Yeah.
Ibaka, Gasol, Siakam, their size and length. We're going to beat you up.
But they had Kawhi at the end of the day.
They did. They did.
Had Kawhi.
But Kawhi also kind of beat them. He beats you up, too, in the way he plays.
No, it is, but you have, top
you
three.
Do need,
right now, he's number one.
Well, that's the difference between the Raptors and Philly. Philly doesn't have that guy.
That's my point. I see where they're going with the trend with bigger bodies, but they don't have that guy.
Yeah. It's the missing piece. They spent a lot of money, and I don't know that they're any closer. All right. That does it for this episode of Bucher and Blackman, subsidiary of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. Thank you all for rating the show. Those who haven't, please do. And wherever you get your podcast, iTunes or wherever. And then if you would, just screenshot the review, however many stars you give us or comment, whatever it might be, and send it to @BucherFriends, and you'll be eligible to win some prizes. All right. In the next podcast, we will have a little bit more fallout from the free agency. I'm sure that we won't know where Kawhi is going, but we'll get into depth where we think he's headed, the choices that he has, and how the movement of Kawhi would change the balance of power in the NBA. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening.